2013 Ford Explorer HID headlights, and I've got the driver's side one is sometimes on, sometimes off. My guess is it's got a bad striker in it, because when it does go out, if you turn the headlights off for just a second, turn them back on, the headlight comes back on. So in order to change these out, because that bulb is actually, you can get to them. I mean, there's plenty of room. They're right here, if you can see that. But once you open that up, there is actually a couple of screws that hold that headlight fast in there, and there's no way to get your hands in there. So basically this whole bumper wrap has to come off to get these headlights out, because I know there's a bolt here, there's a bolt right about there, and then one here, and then this little plastic kind of an insert there. There's not a screw there, but that's got to pop out of there to get these headlights out. So more to come on that, but basically so far, to get this bumper off, there's a screw here, 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 and here, and you got to do that on both sides. You pull this back, there's a screw hiding in there, and that's just under the headlight. So you got to do that on both sides. Those are, I think, 5.5mm bolts, and then underneath there's bolts in the corners back by the wheel well underneath. It's underneath this jamb here. So they're upside down, and then there is 3 or 4 underneath across the front of the vehicle, and then these 7 here. I'm no mechanic, but we're going to give this a shot, hopefully without scratching the hell out of that bumper, because those headlight clusters have to come out so you can stand them up on their face to be able to get those bulbs out of there. So more to come. I'm not going to bore you with taking the screws out. I showed you where they were, so more to come on what's going on. Alright, I've got all the bolts out of the bottom. I believe I said earlier there was 3 or 4. Yeah, there's 3 or 4, and they're like 1, 2, 3, but there's, I think, 8 total. And there, as it comes around the corner, you got 3, few in the front, and then 3 again. So you get all those bolts out. Every video I've seen, they take out the top bolts that I showed you, and then they start working down here. And the one video I saw, the bumper just crashed off. The guy was working by himself. So I'm doing it backwards from that, coming top up. So you get all these bolts out. Remember the ones in the wheel well, and this little guy sneaky back here. And then you get your fingers under here and you pop that off. Okay, and as you see, there's that one bolt I was talking about that I need to get to. So you pop that off either side. Now I'll remind you, this is my first go round with this, but it is going quite nicely. So next I'm going to take those top 7 bolts off, and if I feel I need an extra hand, I'm gonna go ahead and get one. But the camera will be rolling as I pull it off, whether I've got help or not. So we'll go with that here as soon as I get those bolts out. Along with these top bolts, I left 2 of them in here because, as I noticed, there's a couple of these friction pins. I really need to turn the light on my camera, and I can't when it's rolling. That's great. So we pop those up. There's a little slot in there. And then just pull them out like so. Once that's in there, that pin drops down into here and it fattens out. and that's how the fastener works. So that's that. All right, those little tabs I showed you, I don't think they have to come out. Basically all that does is hold this kind of beauty panel on. But anyway, they're off. I'm going to attempt to take this bumper off now solo. Again, I'm not a mechanic, so take this with a grain of salt. That's it, folks. It worked. I'm glad it did. I really don't care to pay $300–400. I don't know what it would cost for a headlight swap or a bulb swap, whatever. So there's one of the bolts you got to get to. There's the other one. 2 bolts. Great engineering on Ford's part. I can't blame Ford. They're all like this. Here's the motor. Build the car around it. So next I'm going to yank these headlights out of here, and I'll show you what I mean by the way the bulb itself is screwed in. All right, I got the headlight out of there. Honestly, you get those bolts out, last thing you do is pull this little guy right here. If you just carefully pry up with a screwdriver, let me back up a little bit. Pry it up with a screwdriver, and literally the headlight just pulls right out. There's no friction pins that are sticking in it into the body or anything. It just pulls right out. And there's only 2 plugs, and boom, you're left with this. So what I've got here, let me see if I got enough drop cloth here to put this down and show you. Get my flashlight. So the issue here on the HIDs, they're great headlights, don't get me wrong, but for some reason they think they're going to jump out of there and take off or something. But you can see there's bolts holding it in, and also in there you've got to get that plug out of there, or off of that. So when it's in the vehicle, there's virtually no way to do it. But just to take caution, HIDs they're like the same as halogens as far as the handling. Have gloves on. Don't let your skin oil get on them. From what I've read and what I understand, it tends to screw them up pretty good. So that's that. It can be done solo. One thing I would probably do differently is I would unhook the side sensors, because it does put a little bit of tension on those, or unplug them. So also maybe the fog lights, which are right there, just go ahead and unplug those as well, and then you can take this bumper wherever you want, set it in a safe spot if you need to get it away from the vehicle, if that's something you want to do. But anyway, it can be done. I don't know what it costs to get these headlights done. Again, I'm no mechanic. I just don't like to throw money at things that I can do myself in a weekend, on the weekend. Hopefully it doesn't take all weekend. So that's HIDs. I might do a little bit here more on that headlight itself, getting those HIDs out. I've not done that yet, so I'm going to pause now and have at that and see if there's anything else I can help you out with. All right, folks, I got the headlight out of there. This is what you see when you're looking at it, way deep in there. Taking into consideration that plug that's on there, that plug's in there, and the clip for that is on the inside, facing away from you. There's no way to get to it, so I had to take a screwdriver to the shroud that's on that plug. I gummed it up a little bit, but hopefully that won't cause any issues down the road. They put this keeper ring that the screws go into to hold that in. That actually comes off, and you put that on the new one. It's on there damn tight. You carefully have to pry away at it with a screwdriver. You can see that little gap right there. You're not going to move it with your hands. It's on there tight. I had to pry at that with a screwdriver to get it to budge. So grab your new HID, put this ring on it, slap it back in there. Probably a pair of needle nose pliers, something like so, to get in there and plug it in. Slap it back in the vehicle, and hopefully we're good to go. I'm not going to bother with the putting it back together. I don't know. There was no cussing, taking everything apart. You'll also notice there may be cussing putting it back together. I don't know yet. On the bottom of these, you're facing, so the headlight sits in there like so. On the bottom of an HID, you'll notice this panel. Now, it looked as though I could have unscrewed those 4 bolts there and maybe pulled that whole apparatus out of there. I really don't know though, because it appeared that where the headlight goes in at does not drop with that either. But actually what stopped me was this. Death or serious injury can occur, and I said, well, maybe I should. 20 years ago I'd unscrewed that and pulled it out and attempted to cheat death. I don't recommend that. I don't know what's in there. I'm sure there's probably a capacitor or 2 or 10 or who knows. Whoever works for the car manufacturers and has a kid in the capacitor industry probably came up with this. So that's it, folks. I appreciate you watching. I hope this helps you out. I found a couple of things online about it, but nothing really in depth. So hopefully I got a little farther in depth for you. Thanks for watching.